Hey, Joe here, Profit First Reselling. You know what's cool about eBay reselling? I was just thinking as I was sitting down here to do some work, I'm like cleaning and processing these Xbox controllers. Like the actual core tools that you need as an eBay seller are so minimal. You know, printer and a phone or a computer. It could be any kind of printer. And today, literally the tools that I need are 2 magic erasers, some rubbing alcohol, 2 little sticker scrapers, and a handful of rags that I reuse. I've used these things dozens of times already. I don't use any paper towels or anything in my business. I just use these things over and over again and wash them with OxyClean and detergent. And they come out looking bright and beautiful and ready to use again. And they're so absorbent. So I love these microfiber cloths. And all of these can be found at Walmart for probably less than $10. All the cleaning supplies that I need. Most people, and at least in America here, already have a phone or a computer. You need to get a printer somehow, or if you don't, you can just take it to the post office. But man, the barrier to entry for a business like this is just, my first business, legitimate business, was a food cart, and that cost, I thought that was a low barrier to entry because I'm comparing it to a restaurant, which would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars, and instead the food cart was maybe $15,000 or $20,000 to get going. But man, eBay business, you can get going. You just start selling the stuff in your house. You don't even need to buy inventory. You can just sell. Most of us have extra stuff. You can just buy for free. Anyway, I need your help. I got an email. I don't want to clickbait too much here. I got an email from eBay, and we were supposed to have the meeting today, but she had to reschedule, Leah from eBay here. So I actually have some time to ask you all for some advice. So basically, I've been invited. Hopefully you can see maybe on the screen over here. I've been invited to this program from eBay, from the eBay government relations team, and they want me to join this Small Business Advocacy Network. And essentially it involves maybe going to Washington, DC. I hate traveling, so I'd prefer just to do Zoom meetings and stuff. But the idea is we'd be part of a team of sellers and employees of eBay, I assume, who get together and try to change the law in favor of small business owners. And in a way, I kind of feel like I'm completely not qualified because I am not an expert in policy or taxes or the government in any way. But I've been a small business owner for a long time. Most of my adult life I've been full-time, kind of self-employed with a business. And so, I don't know, I think I offer some kind of perspective. I think it'd be interesting. But I don't really know what to ask or what I can offer. So what are you interested in? What laws do you think are in the way from doing good business, from being an eBay seller? What taxation policies? Like if you were going to have the access to a platform like this, where I could maybe talk to some people who could make a difference, what would you be interested in talking about? I'm curious. I have such a smart group of viewers here on this YouTube channel. All of y'all just provide the most interesting feedback. And so I'd be curious. I didn't want to read the whole email, but it is here if you want to pause and see what they're about. And y'all scroll down a little bit here. But essentially, Leah's just reached out and said if I'm interested to have and ask some questions. So I had ChatGPT help me come up with some questions, but I would love to hear from you because I think that as a representative, I want to make sure that I'm representing a broad range of opinions if I'm going to be representing eBay sellers in some way. So it's not just about my own opinion. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, what is standing in the way of doing good business from a policy perspective? I'd be curious. I certainly come up against roadblocks all the time. Maybe the whole process of filing an LLC could be simplified in some ways or clarified. I did find that to be quite overwhelming, but my wife was like, no, that's totally easy. You just need to go directly to the government website and it's very straightforward. And so I'm just not patient enough for that stuff. I'm curious. Anyway, I'm rambling. What I mostly want to do while I'm cleaning these controllers is get to your comments. I'm just going to pull up my comments page here on the YouTube app. And I'm just going to talk about what y'all want to talk about. Like Pretty Hate Machining just commented recently. Said, I'm an eBay seller with daily numbers very similar to your own. I was blown away by your video because of your experiences, both past and present, mirrored mine almost exactly. Oh, that's so cool. The only point we differed on was your second to last point about the free shipping. I found myself doing free shipping more and more as time goes on. it saves me effort during the listing and such. I just sort of increase the price a little bit to compensate, turn on free shipping, and move on. Yeah, well, I hope you increase the price a little bit. It's just all about the final price at the end of the day, right? It's going to get weighed and measured when it's time to actually print a label anyway, so I'm not worried about that part. Having said all that, if it's a large, heavy item, then yes, I will charge calculated shipping. Some items are nearly 150 pounds and the cost can vary $100 depending on the destination, so it only makes sense to charge for it. Anyway, great video, well done on everything. You even mostly built those selves without losing your train of thought. I definitely could not pull that off. Well, I definitely couldn't pull off putting the batteries into this thing while I was reading your comment, but I do appreciate your comment. I wanted to make sure that I read it properly. I think that was really well thought out and thoughtful, and thank you. And I will definitely comment back soon here. But yeah, thank you. Pretty heat machining. Yeah, I think it's a great point. Yeah. I don't sell a lot of super heavy items, so the swing for my typical item is not going to be more than like $5 or $10 and not $100. And I can see where changing the shipping policy to make sure that you're not going to experience $100 swing in potential profit on an item, that makes sense to go calculated shipping. I love the simplified nature of just having tiered shipping, of flat rate shipping. That's what I do. So I start at $6.99. So nothing in my store, I don't think at this point, is anything cheaper than $6.99. So even a 4-ounce item, I charge $6.99 for shipping, and it just goes up from there. Usually $7.99 or $9.99. Those three are the most common. I also have $14.99 and $19.99, and that pretty much encompasses most of my items. So I think my face keeps getting like the contrast. Every time I look at my face, if I'm bending in, it kind of is changing the contrast. That's distracting, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, thank you, Pretty Hate Machining, for your comment. And that is a good point to remember. And I recently sold my old bicycle, and it was in a tremendously huge box. So I'm like, it was a very large bike and didn't break down very well. I mean, it did. I broke it down and put it in a bike box, but still, those things are huge, and I had to ship it UPS, and it was like $150. And it would have been a lot cheaper if somebody from Texas bought it. I had a flat rate shipping of just, I think, $100 or something like that. I don't even remember what I said. And I just kind of worked it into the price and chose a flat rate that I think was as high as I was allowed to go. But in that case, it actually would have made more sense to go calculated, I think. But at a certain point, I was also having a lot of trouble selling that bicycle at all, so I was happy to see it go. Let's see. Daniel Jonas 5799 said, where do you get this stuff? That's a common question. So unfortunately, Daniel, I don't reveal my exact sources. It just wouldn't make sense for my business in a similar way to where a lot of private sellers wouldn't reveal the exact product they have, or actually a lot of resellers won't reveal their exact sources. It just doesn't make sense to increase competition so directly to your own business in that way. So unfortunately, I don't reveal exactly where I get it, but I will tell you how I would go about it if I were starting from scratch, which might be more useful information for you anyway. So if I were in a position starting from scratch, what I would do is start calling every business in my area that I think might have the kind of stuff that I need. And not just businesses that have it for sale. Like, for example, I'm into video game stuff. Schools often buy video game equipment. Sometimes that stuff makes it onto auction sites. Sometimes it doesn't, and you can just make a call and say, hey, do y'all have any old video game equipment? I'd be happy to buy all of it from you. If it's sitting in the closet, and while you're at it, if you have any old projectors or old computers, right, you can see how quickly these kind of connections can be made. And that has been my focus for a few years now in my business, is trying to find sources that other people are not able to or not willing to find or seek out. It's not going to be something that you can just Google search necessarily, stuff for sale. I think I would assume at this point all that stuff's been taken. Like, now maybe you're in a rural enough area that I would definitely start there. I mean, start at all the wholesale places, any auction houses, any pawn shops. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is, I from the beginning, I want to treat this eBay business like a full-time job, okay? And as far as I can tell, every single, at least on YouTube or on the groups that I've been in, every single full-time seller has sources beyond just going to the thrift store. I think there's a few, I wouldn't say every single. I would say in general, it is way less likely to be full-time. It just takes a tremendous amount of dedication to be out shopping for that long. Like, man, I was just talking to my buddy Ethan Lupo on YouTube. Shout out at Ethan Lupo. Just released a new video. Ethan and I were talking about Carry It Home, who we both like. She and her husband, Kyle, have a YouTube channel, Carry It Home. I just relate to Carrie so much. She's so sweet. She's a homeschool mom. You know, we're a homeschool family as well. They're a homeschool family. But they, like us, I think, are kind of unique in that it's not just a one-person operation, right? And I think that that's where you start to see where this really isn't a job for everyone, because Ethan actually, you know, he's in a similar area to Carry It Home and her husband, Kyle. And Kyle is the sourcer. So Carry It Home is the one who does a lot of, I believe, a lot of the online stuff, customer service, I assume, and all that. But Kyle is the one who does a lot of the listing and then the sourcing. And he's out sourcing for hours every day. Here's what I'm getting at. To actually be able to source from thrift stores, it's hard to get that amount of quality items, you know? I think what Kyle's routine typically is, they just did a day in the life on their channel on Carry It Home. I think Kyle leaves the house, he goes to the Goodwill outlet, he stays there for the first rotation or two, picks up maybe 7 to 10 or 12 items, quality items, and then he does a whole round of thrift stores. And then at the end of the day, whenever that is, hours later, he also visits the Goodwill outlets again towards the end of the day, does a sweep again, and looks for valuable items again. And again, they're just looking to list, I believe, 30, 40 items a day, maybe 50, somewhere in that range, which, you know, it doesn't seem crazy, because my goal from the beginning, ever since I heard Daily Refinement and Tech and Sports talking about it, like I've talked about before, was 30 items a day. And that still tends to be where I hover around as a full-time eBay reseller. And they just talked about a lot where 30 items a day tends to be that sweet spot where you can make this business full-time. But the hard part is it's 30 quality items a day. You can't just pick low value items. You can't pick low sell-through rate items. They all need to be really good. And that is a grind, you know? Like Tech and Sports also talked about his routine for sourcing was so much time in the car driving, so many hours just in the transportation every day, every week, every month, right? That's expensive. And then you got to come home and still do the listing and still do the shipping. Or you have a 2-person operation like me and my wife, or like Carry Home and Kyle. It starts getting really hard. It starts getting really hard. So yeah, that's tough. I think so. Let's bring it back around. I'm gonna pause the video and then unpause so that my phone will come back up. Just a sec. Okay, here we are, literally seconds later. But yeah, basically Daniel Jonas said, where do you get this stuff? So I get it from businesses. I don't get it from thrift stores. I get it from businesses who aren't necessarily listing stuff for sale online in a way that you typically expect. I am reaching out proactively and saying, do you have any inventory that you don't want anymore? I will take it off of your hands in bulk, untested, by the pound. I take unmanifested inventory, which a lot of people, it's too risky and too weird. And I've found over my years of experimentation that the unmanifested stuff is often the best stuff. It's often also the worst stuff, but manifested, for those that don't know, and for so I buy often huge lots of items. And it'd be nice if you knew exactly what you were getting. So in situations where you do, you often get a manifest, which is literally just a list of all the items in this lot that you're buying. Well, manifests don't exist for a lot of the stuff that I'm buying. It's more about, you know, I don't know, a blurry photo or a conversation or whatever it happens to be. And that's the good stuff, because that to me means another brain. That's just one less person, if any, that have gone through this stuff and looked for the good stuff. Now that means I also get a lot of straight trash and garbage that I paid for in some way or another, even, not just with my time, but often, by the pound or by the item. And I'm like, I don't want this thing at all. I end up just redonating it or throwing it away, depending on what's appropriate. But I've learned that that's part of the business too. And I'm just looking at overall how much work that I have to put into this inventory and how profitable was it. And if those numbers work out, then I'm trying to follow up with that source to try to do it again as much as possible. If you have any more stuff for me, I'm available. And then it's just about communication and keeping in touch and trying to make sure that you have a steady stream of inventory coming in. So, Midnight Modern, Cassandra, I didn't get back to you yet. You're the best. Cassandra's been posting these really insightful videos, casual, cozy, while she's out playing disc golf. So check out her channel, Midnight Modern. Thank you. I gotta heart all these comments. I gotta respond to them too. D Nug said, "Dan, what you selling?" I'm selling junk on eBay, but mostly electronics, and under that category, I would say mostly used retro video game equipment. So that's mostly what I'm working on right now. Is all Xbox 360 controllers. So these are all sorted. My first round of sorting, and now they are getting buffed and tested for the next round to at least make sure that they power on and that they are suitable for sale. And next step will be full testing and then get them up in the store. And that essentially, that process just gets repeated for a lot of the items in my store. Yesterday, I had already sorted out all of the controllers that were obviously broken in some way and listed those, and they all sold before I even removed them from this room. So that was awesome. They were put in their boxes, but I hadn't even fully sealed up the boxes, and they all sold on my store. So I have a few repeat buyers who like to buy those bulk controllers in various conditions of working and not working, and I sold them for over $5 each, plus ship. Overall, when you add up, so it was 25. It was lots of 25 controllers, and I think I had like 6 lots or something, and each lot sold for $129.99 plus shipping. So pretty good. Let's see. Curious how you do the length by height by width so quickly, especially with how you ship most of your listings. So I'm going to take off this little charger just in case my phone. I can feel how hot my phone is, and it might be messing up. Sometimes it messes up the screen recording, so you never get to see what's on my phone, but we'll see how this goes. So AppDrop says, curious how you do it so quickly. So there's two answers to that. The one main answer is I use Pirate Ship, which saves the dimensions and the weight for any shipment. If it has the same name, it's just going to assume it's the same shipment, and so it just remembers. And it's really great about remembering exactly how you shipped it. What I find the problem with eBay shipping is eBay shipping keeps pulling the length, width, height, and poundage from the original listing, and sometimes that's wrong because you obviously often haven't packed up the item yet, and so it's basing it off of that. But Pirate Ship is basing it off of the actual last time that you shipped an item with that name. And so it's usually the exact same weight and the exact same box that I'm using, or the exact same poly bag. So I can just hit, it'll say, you want to use the settings from last time, and I click get rates. And so, I'd say the majority of the time, I don't have to type in the dimensions at all. But when I do, I have a couple little shortcuts set up. I have a numpad, and then so that I can kind of type the numbers quickly. But you do need to type tab in order to move from one text box to the next, right? So what I do for that is I remap the numpad plus key to be tab. So you can do that with a free utility from Microsoft called PowerToys. So that's what I did. I'm a Windows user. So with PowerToys, you can remap keyboards stuff. So I just remapped keyboard numpad plus into another tab key. And so then with my right hand, I can quickly type in, if it's a 10 by 4 by 4 box, my pinky is right there on the numpad plus key. So I can type in 10 and then plus will take me to the next section, next text box, and then I can type 4, and plus is actually tab, and then 4. And then I can hit tab again to go to the weight. And so it allows me to kind of zoom through the weight and the dimensions really quickly with one hand. And then I can also click numpad enter with that same pinky below the numpad plus, and that will go ahead and click enter and go ahead and get the rates for those dimensions. So all that happens really fast with one hand if I do need to type in my shipping dimensions. So I found that's really helpful. Windows PowerToys has a lot of fun little utilities in there. It's worth looking at. I also use it so you can, preview SVG files in Explorer, and just there's little random tweaks in there. It's kind of fun to scroll through. Anyway, I don't know what this means. Are they talking about Adderall? If y'all can help me. Cash Grab 3616 says pre-adult Adderall does exactly this forever. This isn't for my video when I'm talking about survivorship bias and how a lot of life might be luck and it's hard to chalk up what is from your own diligence or skill and what is just luck, in hindsight. So anyway, if you can help me know, I don't know what that comment means, but I'm curious. Mr. Exquisite, one of my favorite commenters on the channel, says, love the thoughts. I don't believe that it's completely luck when you find sources. I do think it may be harder for someone else to find the same items as you, and that causes you to hold back on teaching, rightfully so. Your story is enough. You found sources because you worked and called to get those. If I called around here for video game electronics, I most likely would definitely not find what you find. But I called around and found other items such as paper and media. It was not luck, it was effort to make it happen. Maybe I'm just lucky too. Yeah, it's hard to know, right? It is hard to extract. And I certainly am a big believer in trying to extract principles out of successful people. I mean, I feel like people like Tim Ferriss, that he's dedicated so much. He even has a whole book all about high performers and figuring out the common themes. Something that popped into my head, this is a little bit unrelated, but it has been kind of related to my own personal experiences lately, is that one of the themes that Tim Ferriss identified, there are so many variations in everyone. He talks about movie stars and athletes and all these different people, but he said that filtered air and filtered water are both very common themes. Well, that was pretty interesting. So making sure that in your living environment that your air is being filtered and that the water that you drink on a regular basis is also being filtered. So that's very interesting. And not that that's the cure-all, but that was at least the commonality, right? And I think even Tim Ferriss is very quick to say this is correlation, and we need to separate that from causation, right? This may just be because a lot of these people were wealthy, and wealthy people do that stuff, but that doesn't mean that that's what you need to do, right? It's so hard to extract what actually is the principle that worked and what was just part of your own story. So even among all those high performers, there's just that, we're all so individual. So I have a hard time teaching people what you should do, but I am becoming more and more comfortable, I think, on social media, just sharing my journey here, showing you how I'm running my own personal eBay store here. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Exquisite. Always very thought-provoking. Thank you so much. B Games Media said, I don't know why YouTube changed my settings and this started playing dubbed in Italian LMAO, but that was interesting. That's great. I've seen that popping up too. That's a new feature, I think. That's pretty cool, where they'll auto dub videos into the language of your choice, if you like. That's really awesome. Hector G362 says, in my opinion, sourcing comes a lot down to location and luck. I'm lucky enough to realize that in my area, there's money to be made. There are a lot of rag houses, auction, bin stores in my area where I have plenty to source from, and just by being consistent and showing up, I can actually make a profit. I have a strong feeling I may actually do this full time, and I'm working towards that. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, being locally, geographically close to good sourcing is a huge, huge leg up. And I think that whatever you want to call it, luck or whatever, sometimes leverage might just be about figuring out what you're lucky about. Maybe we all have something that we're lucky in, and it's just about doubling down on those parts that are lucky. And maybe that's the strategy part. There's always a way to tie it back to free will, I guess, personal effort, personal responsibility. I don't mean to downplay anyone's hard work. I just am also hesitant to big myself up, and I recognize that I was born as a white male in a first world country with 2 loving parents, and it's not an even playing field. So I can think and pat myself on the back all I want about how hard I worked, but I don't know. There's a lot of perspective to be had. Maybe I'm just getting older, but anyway, thank you. I don't know how that how we got to that, but thank you, Hector G, for the comment. I think you're on the right track. I think definitely figure out what sources work for you. I think that's awesome. So H. Dorman, oh yeah, this is a great long one. I remember this one. H. Dorman said, hi, Joe. I recently found you as I was searching for other sellers that I relate to. I absolutely loved Osborne to Thrift. I loved Osborne to Thrift too. This is just me interjecting as Joe. I know this is confusing. I'm not reading the comment for a second, but yeah, Osborne to Thrift was one of my favorite YouTube channels. I absolutely loved Osborne to Thrift and rewatched all his videos probably 3 times. Once he deleted his channel, which I didn't know he deleted his channel, that's unfortunate. I was having trouble finding someone to relate to. I really appreciate you sharing your journey and how authentic you are. Instead of interesting about the topic of bias, I don't think you will ever have a problem with people thinking you have a formula. The best thing that you example is your overall strategy. Resilience, resourcefulness, the ability to adjust when needed, etc. It's a great and necessary trait to have. Thank you. Reminds me of the saying, put your goals in concrete and your plans in sand. Interesting. As far as luck, my dad used to say, get a vision, believe in yourself, do the work, and the luck basket will appear. Yes, there is luck involved, but usually to those who are in action. Love your channel and appreciate everything you do. Fun that your wife's name is Heather. That's my name. Have a great day. Oh, so good. Such a good comment. So worth reading. Thank you, Heather, so much. That was awesome. So sweet. And just like, yeah, I love that. So the 2 quotes here. Put your goals in concrete and your plans in sand. That's really interesting. I like that. You definitely don't assume you know how to get there. And that's very true. And maybe keep true to yourself of like what your actual goals are, but you might not actually know how to get there. And get a vision, believe in yourself, do the work, and the luck basket will appear. I think that's fun. Those are all the necessary components for sure. Love that. Thank you so much, man. This community is just so full of positivity. I appreciate you guys. Next up, we got Florida Native 59. It says you can learn more from your failures than your successes if you allow yourself to do so. Wise words. So true. You can learn more from your failures than your successes. That is so true. I once heard a Silicon Valley dork say that failure is an information-rich data stream, which is just a fancy pants way of saying the exact same thing. I like your version better. Thank you. Yay, this is M. Yasgur. So this is a relative of the Yasgur family who owns the Yasgur farm, which is where the Woodstock Festival was held. Fun little side tangent. But M. Yasgur, who's here in the comments, so nice, says, spoiler alert, Joe is a teacher and guru simply by posting this video. You got me. It's a catch-22. Yeah, dang. That's so funny. I'm just like, I'm almost like allergic to like feeling like I'm a guru in some way. I really, really don't want to be anything like that. And at the same time, I'm trying to balance that with this desire to share what I'm learning, but I also don't want to guide people into, the wrong direction. I'm really sensitive to that. I don't know why. Let's see. Oh, I can hear my stomach growling. All right, I can smell food too. Give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna grab a quick snack and then we'll get back to some of these comments. I'm gonna start recording on my phone here. That'll be a little bit delayed. Hopefully it pops up now. Anyway, that was efficient. It was not even 5 minutes. I will say that I was able to eat some food, drink some coffee, drink some water, and brush my teeth in like, I don't know, 3.5 minutes or something. I had half a protein bar and then half of a walking tamale, which is like this, it's exactly what it is. It's like a tamale you can eat with your hands. Not exactly a tamale, more like a corn and bean bar, but it's good. I do like it. Anyway, back to cleaning these controllers. From Jordy Brine said, hey Joe, love your content, brother. I've just started out myself with the toys kids stuff. It's going really well, but I put that down to some of your advice throughout your content. Oh, thank you, man. Amazing job, dude. Keep smashing it and enjoy the book series. Reaching to you from the UK. Thank you. Yeah, he's talking about Mistborn. It's a book series that I'm reading. It's also inspired me to start creating this website as a hobby. It's not fully developed yet. Maybe it never will be, but at spoilerfreecharacterguide.com, I'm basically trying to generate spoiler-free recaps. So basically, you open the website, you pick the book that you're reading, and you pick the chapter you're on, and it'll show you all the characters that have been introduced up to that point, and an optional recap of the chapter you can show or hide if you want. Anyway, really fun. And Mistborn is just such an amazing book, and I really just want to soak it all in, but I am mostly reading it over audiobook, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of the characters, and so it's been nice to have a little visual reference. And now I've decided to kind of expand the vision, and now it's already become way out of scope, but I'm just trying my best over here. And I want to include a lot of the popular series, Harry Potter and Game of Thrones and stuff, and have similar things. You can pick what book that you're reading and which chapter. And so I'm working on it. The website is up. It's not fully filled in with all the data, and there's lots of stuff to work out, but it's been a lot of fun. Anyway, I have not written a single line of code, by the way. I'm completely vibe coding over here. I'm using Claude and ChatGPT and a whole bunch of different tools. It's just been so fun to explore what's out there. Man, it's a whole new world. Really, it's been so mind expanding. I can just talk about AI for a second. I know all of y'all are tired of talking about AI, but I won't make it personal. I'm just talking about kind of this week what my personal breakthrough has been about why this technology is so interesting. And I realized, as I'm kind of creating this project and I keep asking it to dumb it down for me, because I'm not a coder, but I'm trying to create a website with code, and I'm having it edit code and replace things, and doing versions and uploading it and committing it to the website and publishing and all that stuff. But all along the way, I've been realizing that these AI models are almost eager to do things that they weren't originally programmed to do, right? Now, I'm so used to the experience when I have a piece of technology that there's this initial period of like, oh, this thing's so cool. And then you come up against something that it can't do, inevitably, right? Or some flaw that maybe the designers didn't intend, or just some limitation in the way the technology works, or the battery's life, not what you wanted, or something, right? AI certainly can't cure everything, can't fix everything, but what it can do, in the scope of what it can do, which is a lot, it seems eager to go outside and to try new things. So I'm constantly challenging it, saying, I don't want to have to write any code. Can you walk me through step by step how to upload this stuff? Can I copy paste it back to you, and then you can read the code, edit it, and then I can copy paste it back? And they're like, yeah. And so I've basically developed a website through a conversation, a text conversation. In fact, I've got a USB microphone because I found that I want to be so exact in what I want, in the vibes of what I want in these conversations, these long paragraphs, long descriptions of the feel of the website, the exact functionality that I want. But I've actually found the keyboard to be a little bit limiting. It's a little bit bandwidth limiting. I actually think that I'll have more bandwidth to be able to communicate with this entity with my voice, because I can speak faster than I can type. And I just want to dump all of my thoughts out into this text prompt as we continue to have this conversation back and forth. And I continue to develop this thing that didn't exist in the world until a few days ago when I decided to start a conversation. And now there's a website on the internet in real life, So anyway, that's kind of my breakthrough moment, that this is the technology that is not just one thing. I think that's maybe why people keep comparing it to a technology, and that's culture changing on the scale of something like the internet itself. Because the internet isn't just one thing. It's a protocol in which a lot of people were able to connect all around the world, and that did change the way in which our world looks and behaves, and the way in which we interact with each other. I see it now because, oops, what happened? View all. Oh, I went to the wrong page. Sorry. Let's scroll down a little bit. It just seems like the AI, it's ready to do not quite the impossible, but almost, right? Like, there are some limitations. Like, if you ask it, one of these AI models, to do a super large task, it won't do it. It's too much computation. It won't let you ask something that will cause it to use up all of its computing power for too long. So you kind of have to divide it up in chunks and keep nudging it. Like, yes, okay, we'll break it up into chunks, is what I have to tell it on these large computation tasks. Break it up into chunks and then keep asking it. I'll keep nudging you to do the next step. But then yesterday I was like, wait, can I use you to help me design a script to keep nudging you? So I'm basically using the AI to help me hack itself. It's like, this technology is not one thing. It's very bendy, and it is hard to explain. It's hard to get a grasp on the real capability of it. It's so fun. It is so fun playing with it. and I'm using it for code generation. So I'm using Claude specifically, but I'm using ChatGPT as kind of an assistant. ChatGPT is kind of the employee of Claude, and I'll have Claude give ChatGPT tasks to do because I keep running out of usage on Claude with all of the code execution or the code editing that it's doing. It's very computationally intensive. So I'm having some of the recap descriptions being written by ChatGPT and then imported back into my project in Claude. And it's so fun. Everything, and I'm telling Claude this. I'm like, Claude, I'm going to use ChatGPT as an employee. So can you output a file that will help me tell ChatGPT what to do and tell ChatGPT the exact output file format that you want, so I can bring it back into our project once you've reset your usage limits, basically. So I'm using another AI as an employee, and like, I think that I'm doing, and there are tools to be able to do all of this stuff, to be able to juggle different tasks between different LLMs. I was just talking to my brother-in-law, who is so much more into this stuff, and he was saying that there are tools for doing exactly that, so that you don't run out of your usage tokens on the more valuable LLMs as quickly. Anyway, this whole journey has been fascinating. I'm excited to see what happens next in the eBay app. I want to see more AI in the eBay app. The more, the better. I want AI descriptions. I want AI prices. Just like and also that there's a new feature as an Amazon seller that I haven't heard people talking about. I never sell on Amazon, but I'll log into my account every week or so just to make sure I'm not missing something. And as an Amazon seller, there's now an AI chatbot that'll pop up and say, do you have any questions about your own store or your own metrics? And I can help guide you through. So you can have a conversation, I would hope. I didn't actually dive into it, because I don't have many numbers that I actually care about on my Amazon store. But if it was on eBay, I'd be so curious to be able to have a conversation. Oh.
Someone's at the front door doorbell.
Oh, someone's at the front door. I think we're going to be okay. I think that's just it's just UPS. Just let me know that they picked up the stuff. I just saw them. I can see out the window. They were just turning around a couple minutes ago. So anyway, that kind of derailed my train of thought, but that's all I had to say anyway, I think. This one, although it passed all my first tests, does not seem to be powering up this time. Never mind. No, there it is. Good. Still 100%. So yeah, thanks Jordy for your comment. And Great Deals Depot says, great video, so true. It's hard not to get caught up in someone who is successful and want to know how. Like you said, many times it's about being in the right place or knowing a certain person. Yeah, thank you. That's so true. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it is both. You gotta. I'm just trying to stay humble over here. I don't know how repeatable this is. I haven't run the test. I wish I had the data to back it up. I'm like, yeah, I can definitely teach you how to replicate my success, but I don't. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to claim that I can. Oh yeah, Graham, the Aussie Nurse Flippers, that's spot on. Cheers. Thank you, buddy. Tyler Devine said, keep sharing that journey, Joe. I appreciate you. I'm on Hero of Ages in the Mistborn series. Awesome. I have somehow, even though I've been generating all these recaps, I've avoided any spoilers for the series. I'm really enjoying the series so far. So I'm still on the first book, but yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I also found out about Brandon Sanderson through that Tim Ferriss interview. And I decided I want to get inside this person's head because he is just fascinating to me. So yeah, Brandon Sanderson is the author. He was also the author that took over the Wheel of Time series, which was the most popular fantasy series on the planet until Game of Thrones got its TV show, and then that kind of took over the crown. But Brandon Sanderson's an amazing author, and his one of his main series is called Mistborn. So that's the one I decided to start with. And it seems like Tyler Devine did as well. So fun stuff. Thanks to Tim Ferriss for having Brandon Sanderson on for my inspiration to read those books. Yeah, exactly. Me too. So, speaking of Carry It Home, we were just talking about you. Carry It Home in my comment section. Oh my gosh, I'm like blushing a little bit. I forgot that she commented. So fun. She also commented on this video. Carrie said, great thoughts. By the way, Carry It Home, amazing. 31,000 subscribers. Amazing, amazing YouTube creator. Great thoughts. Don't feel like you're pressured to formally teach just because you have an online presence. You can teach what you feel led to teach on, if anything, and leave the rest. But also, give yourself credit. You don't accidentally find yourself in a successful full-time eBay store. Just like people don't accidentally achieve pinnacle health. There's intentional decisions being made that led you to where you are, and I bet if you reverse engineer it, you'll be able to see your path. Well, that's definitely the goal. Thank you so much, Carrie. And yeah, you are so good at that. Carry It Home. When she talks numbers, you are just so on top of what's happening in your life. I think maybe in a way that I just don't even understand. I can appreciate it though. I really appreciate how in tune you are with your progress. And sometimes I don't check in. So maybe I feel like my life is more chaotic than it is. or yeah, I have a harder time kind of pulling out the details or reverse engineering what I did. But maybe other people can. So maybe if I just show you what I'm doing as I'm here working, maybe other people can kind of pick up on that. Because I am just being honest. So if you see me doing something, it's because that's the way that I do it for the most part. So, man, Carrie Home, she's so awesome. Check out her channel. She's got her own group where she offers advice and they have calls, and she's so awesome. Speaking of, yeah, and another YouTuber, longtime YouTuber, James Helferstay, formerly, I think, My Boring Reseller Life, and then my Something Reseller Life else, and now he's at Helferstay, which I think is like iconic. Go just for the last name. I think I love that, actually, at Helferstay. Anything. Anyway, what he said, the funny thing about luck is you make your own luck. So there is always a positive story to be told in there somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, I love that attitude, man. I think that at the end of the day, I think for those of us that are here, I think that there is always a positive story to be told and a positive spin to be put on what's led us here, right? But I mean, I don't know, again, I keep thinking about the fact that it's survivorship bias, right? Like we're all able to say that because we made it, but there's a lot of people that might have tried just as hard as us, but for whatever reason didn't make it. That's hard for me to justify. I don't know. I have a hard time with taking too much credit. But anyway, RJ Hatch 3761 says that spoiler-free character website sounds amazing. I hope you work out all the kinks and you could do that with other series. I forget who some characters are in a book I was reading and decided to put it down, and it's unfortunately just collecting dust. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, awesome. Well, I mean, you can definitely check out the website. It's just a skeleton right now, but you can kind of get the general idea of how it's going to work, and hopefully over the next, I don't know, few days, few weeks, few hours. I keep getting banned on Claude, who's writing all the code, for like every 5 hours. So I only get to do about 2 or 3 coding sessions a day. So things are moving slowly, but I'm learning the tricks to avoid overloading Claude too much. Anyway, who else do we have? The Over Tyrant 2620 says, "Hey, I actually had a similar conversation with a peer. I did a consultation with Josh Graff just to kind of pick his brain. Love Josh Graff, another awesome YouTube creator, and I think really one of the true full-time eBay sellers on YouTube. So check out Josh Graff, Graff. I did a consultation with Josh Graff just to kind of pick his brain. I mentioned between all the reselling creators, I reached out to him because I thought media is the most widely applicable skill set to build a bedrock layer to a reselling business. It's definitely labor intensive and skilled for sure, but you can do it almost anywhere geographically inside the US. I love the way that you're thinking. That is so true. And there's media available everywhere because a lot of people don't want to handle it, and it is lower value and higher volume. But if you figure out your systems, the inventory out there. So I love the way that you're thinking, but you also are knowing the downsides going into it. I think it's really smart, the Over Tyrant. They also continued on here and said, your situation is extremely impressive, but while it's not to degrade the amount of time and effort you take to build it, it's not a formulaic approach. What I wanted you to think about with advice is that your business is like your body. So the second person that's related to a business to a body, maybe in health in a way. It's a result of thousands of decisions that culminate in the larger picture. What I want to extract from you or from Josh or anyone. What can I take from the 1,000 things you've changed to save 5 minutes a day or make another $5 a day and tack it on? Okay, so actually I'm realizing I did not properly answer their question, so I need to go back and answer that question. I just realized, I was like, wait, I didn't actually answer that question on the bottom properly. So sorry about that. I will get back to you properly as I'm going back through these comments later on, and I'll answer you. Maybe I'll try to answer now. What can I take from the 1,000 things you've changed to save 5 minutes a day or make another $5 a day and tack it on? Okay. I hope this isn't too obtuse, but I would say so much of it is about optimization, right? To really figure out what am I capable of each day. So a lot of what I've figured out is just really visualizing my perfect day and then working backwards from there and figuring out what's in my way from getting that done. So in my perfect day, I accomplish those 1 to 3 items that I know are important for my business. In my perfect day, personally, I'm going through it personally now, so I get 1 to 3 things done. I try to keep my to-do list on a daily basis pretty simple. It might be something like, get all my orders shipped, and then also list X things. These 2 bins are all today. It's like process these controllers, and I'm gonna get a couple tasks like this, a big money-making task like this done. So what are the 1 to 3 tasks I really need to get done today? Then I also want to get something as far as physical activity. Currently, that means both movement and mobility are both areas I need to work on personally. So that's what I'm working on. So making sure I get some movement, get my steps in, and then I'm also working on some mobility in the evening. And then for me, a perfect day also includes family time. So I need to be able to wake up and have energy to accomplish all of those things and not be so tired by the end of it that I have nothing left for my family, or so tired by the time my kids go to bed that I can't then have some extra time to either play video games or continue on coding a stupid website with Claude or whatever I'm doing with my extra free time these days. So that's my perfect day, and it's going to be different for you, but there are a lot of things that are common themes that get in the way of that, right? Repetitive tasks that could be automated, right? You really need to be mowing your lawn, or would you make more money doing something else when you're also having to buy a new lawnmower every year or whatever, and it's all this extra time and effort? What can you pay to automate? How much time are you spending shopping and planning and thinking about meals, or how much money is going down the drain eating out? It's about what's getting in the way, right? Maybe it's spending habits that are getting in the way of you living a simple life and being able to kind of reduce expenses in a way that you're taking some of the pressure off. So I'd say it's about first figuring out what's important and then figuring out what's stopping you from accomplishing that. God, that sounds so cliche and stupid when you just break it down like that. But okay, so personally, it's hard to give personal advice. What are some little things that I've done? I've really perfected simple, easy meals that I can eat over and over again. Oatmeal, burgers on a cast iron pan, eggs and toast with some fermented vegetables from the fridge. Stuff that I can prepare in 5 or 10 minutes, and it's going to keep me fed and going all day until dinner time. That's the kind of meals that I'm all about. I like to make a big batch of chili and eat that for a few days out of the fridge. And that really has improved my business performance. That literally frees up hours a day. That's hours of dishes and planning and shopping and cooking that I don't have to do. The meals are already done. The protein is already prepared. I got to get it in my body and get back to work. And that can take seconds. I have these quick options. These walking tamales, they're so cute. Walking tamales, my protein bars. I have these available so that my hunger is not, it keeps coming up. Often having to eat food is one of those obstacles getting in the way of you getting a good amount of work done, because it is also, you need to have good, healthy, for me at least, have healthy nutrition in your body to really perform. So anyway, I look at nutrition, how you can optimize nutrition first, and food. That can also be an opportunity to save a ton of money if you can start preparing high quality and easy meals at home. Bulk chicken breast and bagged salads is one of my favorites. There's so many things you can do from Walmart or a local grocery store that are going to save money and allow you to get back to work even more quickly, even more effectively than takeout, because takeout is just going to be sapping too much of your money, I think, over time. So let's see. Oh yeah, same comment here. Okay, ABCDEFGH1, another longtime commenter said, and what you see on social media is a sample consisting only of those who are comfortable sharing on social media. Yeah, so basically what he's talking about is, this is still, he or she, I don't know, they. This is from the video with me talking about survivorship bias. And I was talking about how often we hear from the people that have made it just because they're the survivors. And then social media also amplifies that, because we are often not shown the people who are failures or even middling successes. We're only shown the real shining examples and the exceptions in a lot of ways, instead of just an accurate representation of all the ice cream shops out there. Maybe we're only seeing the couple of ice cream shops that are the most successful, or the couple of eBay sellers that are the most successful. And that's not really a true representation of all the people that have tried and failed, even the people that have tried really hard and failed. And that's the thing, you can't always chalk it up to hard work. I think a lot of people work hard and still fail. So it's hard to extract all those lessons. So I don't know, not too much like continue on the same topic forever, but I do find it quite interesting. Man, this is just like a who's who in the comment section. How lucky am I? Gem Flipper said, hi, some people have it and some people don't. In Spanish, we call it ganas or desire. I've mentioned people in e-commerce, I've mentored people in e-commerce over the years, and there's only a small select few that actually get it and are successful at it. Some, it just never clicks. It always circles back to those that have the desire to push themselves. That's very, very true. That's very, very wise. Pushing yourself, yeah, to continue to overcome any of those obstacles, I think really is one of the keys. I love that. Thank you, Gem Flipper. So amazing. Check out Gem Flipper. 3.8 thousand subscribers. Way to go. DJ Van Horn says, love the videos. Definitely appreciate all your advice and helpful tips. Thank you, DJ. Arts Records Tapes says, what's your cost of goods and all this stuff? Glad you're feeling a bit better. Sorry, our healthcare system is so messed. Yeah, I don't have a good answer for that, I don't think. What did I say? Maybe my wife answered too. Oh, I need to go back and record. Yeah, I need to respond to that person as well. Sorry about that, Arts Records Tapes. You have a reply that I have not replied to, but I said it's almost impossible to calculate my cost of goods. These items were collected over weeks from multiple sources, which is true. It's all these controllers are not from one person. These are like from, I don't know, 10 different sources or something. So it's hard to kind of keep track of what my cost of goods was on each one. I could, but I choose not to. I choose to focus on just what I think are the most money-making activities in my business instead of meticulous detailing. But so it does make it hard, though. I kind of have to use a lot of fuzzy math and intuition as I'm, evaluating buys of how good the stuff is or how good it looks, and kind of estimating the chances of how much the stuff is going to work as I'm first unloading and evaluating inventory. But sometimes it gets all mixed up as well. I'm not like tagging the stuff as it comes in from who it's coming from. It all just gets approved and bought, and then it becomes mine, and then I sort it based on what it is. So all the 360 controllers, for example, go into the same bin. So it's really hard to track individual COGS in my particular business. I could look at overall numbers for like last year for what COGS was overall versus sales, but I don't have that number currently. So maybe I'll look into that and get back to you. Let's see. Rex Manning says, yeah, great. I love seeing from Rex Manning. Great to have you back. Sorry your health's been in the dumps. Sending good vibes for a quick recovery. Yeah, thank you, Rex Manning. Connie Garza said, it's so refreshing to see you just do the work. There's a ton of sourcing videos out there, which I love, but Glamorize is the best part of this reselling gig. Not a lot of people post this part of researching, taking photos, working your systems, which can be repetitive and boring. Sometimes I procrastinate listings because it can be overwhelming in my head. The research, the cleaning, the sorting. But watching you do it really pushes me because you really just have to do it, and these videos really show that. LOL. So thank you for posting these podcasts, work with me sessions. They're very motivating. Thank you so much. That's so nice. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, wow. So nice. That is kind of what I want. I'm just trying to show a slice of life and show, my process for something like listing, just so that maybe some people can get some benefit from that. And it is just work. It is just staying focused and doing the copy pasting and doing the price research. And speaking of YouTubers, Doc7, 2.3 million subscribers. They've commented a few times here on my channel. So nice. Thank you so much, Doc7. They are from France, I believe, so they have coming from a different perspective, looking at my struggles with the American medical system. But Doc7 says, people shouldn't avoid getting medical care out of fear of going broke. Nobody likes paying taxes, but if it means having free health care, including specialists, medication, surgeries, hospital stays, or free education for everyone, then I'm happy to pay my French taxes. As would I. Wow. Yeah. Man, healthy perspective there. You assume it's wherever you live happens to be the best, but I don't think so. I think the system is pretty broken, personally. Well, thank you for that perspective from a different country, Doc7. Man, I always appreciate your insight. It's really wise. Is a doctor's visit tax deductible? I don't think so. Not unless I make a YouTube video about it. I guess maybe now I am. Wait, is it now? It's not. It's not like I did it for content. I just am making content about it. I don't think it's tax deductible. That also doesn't make it free, of course. I think a lot of people think that means that the cost gets crossed out at the end of the year. This means you might be bumped into a different tax bracket or something and pay slightly less in taxes. But it usually means nothing to write something off. In the scheme of things, if you don't write anything off, obviously that doesn't make sense. But anyway. This was just another video link. I don't think that video was in English, though. Oh, Southern Vermont Vintage on eBay, another long-time commenter. I see Southern Vermont Vintage show up on like all of my favorite YouTube channels. They are a really excellent contributor to a lot of these communities that I'm part of as well. So thank you so much. Said our health system is so broke, making us all broke to be alive. Good to see you're okay. Thank you so much. I'm always happy to see you. Mark Farr says, good to see you back. You were missed. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, Aussie Nurse Flipper. Okay, so another perspective from a eBay seller outside of the United States, or just a person outside the United States. Graham is from Australia, says, wow, free medical here in Australia. I always find it bizarre how America always looks as the best country in the world, looks at itself as the best country in the world. But then you see, if you hear from Tucker Carlson, him in Russia, they have free medical care, clean railway stations. It really makes you think. Cheers. Yeah, I got nothing to add, except that I agree. Yeah, makes you question things, doesn't it? Thank you, Graham. That Day Dreams 1156 says, when ChatGPT makes your eBay titles over 80 characters, you can tell it not to exceed 80 characters and it will listen. Yes, I should have done that right away and been like, yeah, from now on. Cuts my listing time in half when I use AI. Haha. Watch the video all the way until the end. Thank you, Chat Dreams. That's That Day Dreams 1156. Thank you so much. That's so nice. Yeah, that's true. It's good to remember. Like, I'm just gonna keep that one chat going now on ChatGPT, and it'll remember when I say things like, yeah, make sure to keep the title to less than 80 characters. I'm almost done with this. This is great. Frost Z SR3SX says, hope you're doing better, fam, and always keep your head up, King. Bro, that actually just like really actually pumped me up right now. Thank you so much. It's something about that. That felt real. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Marcella late. Oh, dang it. I pushed the top of the thing. Lost my place. Gotta scroll back. Almost there. Marcella Abel Curtis says, agreed. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Dryden Flips. Yeah, cool. Okay, Dryden Flips is great. Been commenting a long time on my channel. Also an eBay seller. Also like a video game reseller, I think. It said, I also use ChatGPT quite a lot. You can assign it at a role in a specific chat. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I have assigned it a role as my eBay business partner. Gave it info about my business policies and goals. Wow, I didn't see this comment. I haven't read it yet. Okay. Over time, I have it remember key information about listing procedures, minimum sell-through, minimum listing price, etc. It's quite helpful. It gives insights on listing individually as lots or to pass on the item altogether. Good to see you back at it, killing it as always. Cool. Yeah, I have not really explored that side of like telling it to take on a role so much. Like, you are this, take on the role of this. So that's so interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you. I will look into that for sure. Thank you, Dryden Flips. Again, literally, this is like a who's who in the comment section. We got John, flippin' ain't easy, commenting. Amazing. Thank you, John. Said, I love the fact that you're listening to a dollar value and not a set quantity. Yes, I agree. That is typically how I list. I try to, in a typical listing session, I'm going for $1,000 listing at least. And usually I exceed that by a good deal, but that kind of is like my initial motivation. It usually takes me an hour or two to get to that $1,000, and you kind of see where you go from there. This is the way. Yeah, agreed. So instead of listing 30 items, and I think that the reason that John is probably so passionate about this is when you've been in this business long enough and you see a lot of people trying out eBay selling, and especially if you see them trying to hit a listing goal that's a set number of items, which seems like the most logical. I want to list 10 items a day. I want to list 20 items a day or 30 items a day. The problem with that can be, not that there's any problem inherently with that, the problem can be that your incentive now becomes to just make sure that you get enough items to hit that quota, your 10 or your 20 per day. And it can cause you to start picking up items that are not actually worth that much money, or that you maybe wouldn't have picked up. Maybe they're slow sellers. And so you end up kind of bloating up your store. That's not an actual verb, but your store gets more bloated over time with these items that aren't actually quality items for whatever reason. And the reason that happens is it's really hard to find 30 good items a day. That's what I was talking about, why actually trying to go around to thrift stores and find that many quality items, you have to be an exception. You got to be like Carry It Home and Kyle, where you're just listing where you're sourcing all day for hours, multiple days a week, like Tech and Sports used to do, right? and then eventually he had people being paid to source for him. But it's the same thing. It takes hours to be out there hunting for that stuff. That's hard to sustain. So I think it's all about quality items. Eating food is fun. Says that hash would probably sell as unit only. Yeah, I did end up pulling that back out of my donations file and listing that. Thank you so much. Eating food is fun. I did. I listed it for like $15 plus shipping. I found one and priced it at the lowest price above the parts one and below the lowest one with the power cord, and it sold fairly quickly. Yeah, mine did not have the power cord, unfortunately, but still worth a few bucks, I think. Not something that's likely to not work either. Yes, I like the way you think. Obviously, yeah, you've sold electronics before. No moving parts, high build quality, nothing rattling around. I do think there's a high chance of it working. So, yeah, great thing to go ahead and pass on to somebody else. Man, this comment section, I'm blushing over here. The Disgruntled Octopus, another amazing YouTube creator, another eBay seller from Australia. So good to see you back, human. Hope you're feeling better soon. Thank you so much, buddy. Quiet Chaos Core said, I pay dang near $300 a check for health insurance, which is considered good health insurance. And what about all the months I didn't go to the doctor? LOL. So I'm not sure it's better just to pay cash $700. Yeah. See, I was complaining in my other video because I had to pay $764 for a single doctor's visit, where they just stuck a tube up my nose just to a scope, just to check it out, and then send me home with a $764 bill. Anyway, yeah, so what they're saying, yeah, paying $300 a month, maybe. Well, the problem is I also pay for insurance, but the insurance is moving so slowly, I still don't have an appointment with my in-network ENT specialist for weeks from now. So I just wanted to see by somebody. I wanted to be seen by someone, so I went out of network, and that's what I get. So I'm paying both. I get the privilege of paying both ways. Let's see. Fur rhymes with AMC? I don't know. Fur rhymes with M's or rhymes with AMC 6399. Dang, I don't get it. That seems like a cool name. Hope you asked for a cash pay discount. Sometimes they don't tell you that you can get a discount for self-pay option. I did ask for a self-pay discount, and she said they could apply a 20% discount, but that was the final total after the cash pay discount was $764 for like 30 minutes of a doctor's time. So that's all right. Live and learn. Get loves. FZN Link says, hope you're better. Thank you. I am feeling better. Anthony Solis, another awesome long-time commenter here on the channel, says, the medical industry is designed to encourage and keep people in the matrix. People like us that have our own business and that are partially unplugged are definitely penalized for doing so. And our healthcare system is definitely the one way to do it. Thanks, brother. Great content. Thank you. Partially unplugged, fully unhinged, whatever you want to call me. I appreciate you looking out, brother. Always, you're just like always so supportive, man. I can feel the love coming through your comments. So thank you, Anthony. So nice, man. Pascal's Suprinent 7249 says, hi, good job on a great video, and for your phone being slow, you need to delete all the pictures from eBay. I have a phone for only eBay that just has that on it, and it's quite faster that way. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, I'll consider that. Maybe I should have kept my old phone, but my old phone was starting to act up. But maybe if I had like completely erased everything, used it only for eBay, it wouldn't have been acting up as much. That's a good point. But I just upgraded my phone to the newest iPhone 16 Max, whatever. Like the thought of buying another one is kind of overwhelming right now. Maybe. It's been doing okay, but when I'm screen recording and working, sometimes it can kind of get a little overwhelmed. Let's see. We are back from Mr. Exquisite. Take care of your health. I have to pay cash as well. Yeah, condolences for that. That's not fun. Adam Sam 6823 says, welcome, Jack Joe. Hope the vacation was a good recharge. 764 for a doctor visit is wild, but turning it into a listing challenge, classic view. LOL. That's so nice. I'll take that as a supreme compliment. Thank you so much. Let's see. Finding Gadgets. Oh man, another long time follower. Thank you so much. Finding Gadgets says, for the camera PlayStation, you said to inspect the cables and camera. Are you concerned that it will be returned since you didn't test it? I did inspect the outside and the cables and something like that. Again, so likely to be working that depending on the item, controller I'll always test for full functionality. For something like a camera like that, I will probably just do a full visual inspection. And I don't know if I've ever had a return on one of those. So that's like 100% success rate, right? So yeah, I just kind of go on intuition, and I make sure to feel every part of it, inspect the lens glass in front to make sure nothing's cracked or anything. And yeah, it seems to be working out okay. But it's an item by item thing. So each item I kind of evaluate. If I do notice I get 1 or 2 returns of a certain item, that's a chance for me to reevaluate my process and say, well, maybe I need to be more careful in testing X, right? Dolores Miller, sending love. Dolores Miller 6956. Thank you, Dolores. Rex Manning said, so happy for you realizing that the little moments are really the big moments in life. So many people rush through in so many years and never realize they are in the good old days. Yeah, I think about that a lot, actually. Thank you. I often think that I've been given this like second chance at life somehow, that maybe I'm actually on my deathbed or something, but I've been given a chance to just relive my life one more time. And so I appreciate the fact that I think these truly are the good old days, even when they can feel so hard at times, especially with kids, where just like even a good night's sleep is such a luxury for me these days. I think it is still the good old days in a lot of ways. I'm going to miss these times for sure. So thank you for that. I always appreciate that kind of perspective. Rex Manning also went back and I think found my first ever eBay video. Yeah, well, check this out. Was this your first eBay selling vid? Very cool. I believe it was. Yeah, like 6 or 7 years ago. Bermdog says, Pinocchio has some great life lessons. It's a story I've always remembered. Me too. The more I think about it, I think it is the reason for my irrational fear of being swallowed by a whale in deep water in the ocean. But in addition, I do have quite a focus on honesty. And I value honesty quite highly in my relationships, and my own personal ability to be honest is something that I value. And so obviously with Pinocchio, with the whole visual representation of how honest he's being, I think that had an effect on me too. I definitely grew up in an environment where I figured, people were always out watching me, or a deity was watching me and would know if I'm lying. So I just need to be honest. I just have really focused on being honest my entire life. So speaking of honestly, I'm done. I'm done processing those controllers. I'm gonna get these on my store, but for now, I think we're gonna be done chatting. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I just appreciate all of you. It's been so fun. I appreciate all the comments. I just been just like so overwhelmed and honored that all these amazing creators and individuals and eBay sellers in their own right and just cool people are out commenting and resonating with what I'm talking about. So thank you. Until next time, I will see you in the comment section. This is Joe, Profit First Reseller. Peace.